already 4 minutes late. Okay. So for those of you who haven't attended the previous sessions, so this is actually today's session is the last session in this series. So those of you who have not attended the previous webinars, you can find the recordings here. So this is the URL. You can either take a screenshot of it or copy paste it somewhere. So basically yes. So the previous webinars recordings are here. The 17th August webinar and today's webinar links will also go up in a couple of days. Had anybody a chance to go through these recordings? I see there are some people who were there for the last session. Did you get a chance to go through the recordings? Anybody had a chance to go through the previous webinar? Okay, nobody? So anyway, so you can do that. Okay, Sharik, okay, you did. So I hope you found those. Useful. So Prabhat, you also did. So people who did go through the webinars, I hope you found those useful. So we keep doing these in cycle. So we are going to end the. We are towards the end of the cycle actually. Some basic rules. So when I'm speaking, so just you have the chat window available to you, but I would request you not to type in your questions, because if I'm speaking and you are typing your questions, then there's a high probability that I will miss out on the questions, right? So do not type your questions. So type your questions only when I ask you, right? Only when I ask you whether you have a question or not. If I say, do you have any questions? So that's when you should be typing in your questions. Otherwise, don't. And towards the end of the session, we would anyway have a question and answer session, right? So if your questions are a little too, too specific, then I would prefer if you hold on to those questions towards the end of the session. Some of you had also sent in your CVs and emails after last session. So I believe you got your answers. If you have not got your answers, please let me know. So towards the end of the session, I will also give out email IDs where you can send your CVs and you can get, you can talk to a counselor or you can, just have a discussion regarding your profile, applications, etc. So today's session. So today's session would be the application. Right? How many of you have taken the GRE exam already? Okay. Okay, great. So those of you who have taken the GRE exam, so this should be like fresh information for you. You can use this information right away. Those of you who are still in the GRE coaching stage or still in the thinking stage, just take notes. Make it a point to go through the webinar recording later on, because some stuff you might forget. So today's session will be completely about the application, how to go about filling your applications, how to write SOPs, what kind of LORs should you write. So basically, it's going to I'm going to deal with mainly the application components, right? We did this last session. So what do universities look at? Yes, can somebody answer? We already did this last session. What are the admissions criteria? Oh well, no, budget is not an admissions criteria. Universities don't care. I'm talking about what are the admissions criteria? All right, GRE. Yes, okay. And TOEFL, right? Academic record, yes, we discussed that. Work experience for some programs. Extracurricular activities not that important for MS and PhD. personal documents, that is your SOPs and LORs, and research work. So those of you who were there, so we did discuss this thoroughly. So just before going into the application, I would like you to remember that these are the admissions criteria. The reason is that, you know, whatever documents you are writing, I mean, we also discussed that of this. Okay, so let me ask you guys. So which is the most important component of this entire list? Which is the most important component? Some of you were there last time. The research angle, right? This is the most important component, right? So your SOPs and LOR should bring that out, right? So Vaibhav, there is nothing called profile. So this is your profile. There is nothing separate thing called profile, right? So the research work component is the most important thing, most important in this list. So your entire SOP and LOR should focus on bringing out the significance of this component. Okay, moving on. So let's say last session was mainly on shortlisting. So we'll start from there. You know, so let's say that you have now finished your shortlisting. You know which college you want to apply to. Then what should you do? So these are the things that you should start doing. First of all, you need to send your exam scores, your GRE, TOEFL, GMAT, all these scores you need to send to the universities that you plan to apply to. And you have to go to the website. There are separate fees. So for instance, GRE, if you want to send your scores, the fees is $27 per university. GMAT is $28. So similarly, for all these exams, you have to send the scores to the universities. Like from the website of these universities. Just sending photocopies will not work, right? Moreover, whereas GRE, GMAT or TOEFL, these bodies, they take some time to send the scores to the university. So you should not take the risk, right? So the moment you have decided, the moment you have finalized your universities, this should be a first step, right? Because you are not depending on a third party. You are depending on somebody to send your scores to the university. So you better be safe. Do the score sending as soon as you shortlist the universities. Let's say that you are planning to apply to 8 universities or 6 universities. So don't wait till you finalize all of them. Even when you finalize 1 university or 2 universities, that's okay. Do this. Get this done as soon as possible. Otherwise, towards the end, you might realize that you sent everything, but you forgot to send the scores. So the score sending has to be done as soon as you finalize any university, before anything else. Next part is that you have to get your academic. Remember, what was one of the admissions criteria was academics, right? So for that now you need to like send your academic transcripts, right? So some colleges, some Indian colleges, they do not give transcripts, right? They give mark sheets. So that is also okay. So let's say that you are in your 7th semester. Let's imagine a case where you are in your 7th semester or 8th semester when you are applying. So you will have mark sheets only till the 6th semester. That is okay. So whatever you have, that's what you need to send. Right? Now when sending the transcript to your college university, you need to check 2 things. First of all, how many are required. Some universities might need up to 3 copies, right? So you need to go to the university website. So let's say that you have decided to apply to Arizona State University. Let's assume. So go to the university graduate admissions page of Arizona State University and check how many transcripts are required. It's not that you send 1 transcript to everybody. You might find out that that university might need 3 or 2, right? So once you select the university, go to the website, the graduate admissions page, and see how many are required. Next thing you need to see is that how do you need to send them, right? Hard copy or soft copy? Hard copy or soft copy, right? So a lot of colleges will want you to upload the transcript online. That is okay. But a lot of colleges might also need hard copy. Now if it is hard copy, if you have to send the documents to the universities, then find out what address. Right? So these are some stuff that you need to do even before you start doing your SOPs and stuff. The reason is that these take time. You have to go to your college, university. Some colleges are quite, your college, that is the college from where you are doing your bachelor's degree. Some of them are pretty, helpful to students, but some are not. So, fortunately or unfortunately, like, when the deadline season comes, like December, January, a lot of Indian colleges have their vacations, right? A lot of people take long vacations, New Year vacations, Christmas vacations. So, have these things ready beforehand only. Some Indian colleges, you need to pay some money to get transcripts. Like in Delhi University, for instance, each transcript copy costs around 500 rupees. So you have to, that is a fee that you have to pay to the university. Only then they will give you the transcript. So find all these things out. Next thing is have the funds to be shown in the financial documents ready. So a part of the application process is also to send the financial documents, right? So you have to show that you have enough amount to support your education for the first year. Irrespective of whether you get the scholarship or not, financial documents you have to send. Now for this part you have to depend on your parents, right? They are the ones who will be the sponsors. So they have to get the bank documents ready. They have to get the affidavits of support ready. So for this you have to at least alert your parents. Some of you probably stay in hostels. Some of you probably do not stay in stay in the college. Stay with your parents. So if you stay in the hostels, then you should probably have a word with your parents so that they can start this process. This process also takes time because there are banks involved, and banks are the private banks are okay, but the government banks, sometimes it takes time, right? Then the next step is, contact 3-4 people to be your prospective referees. You need letters of recommendation, remember? So referees means recommenders. So you have to contact 3-4 people, So I'll get to the point where who you should be contacting, but this is also one thing that you should be doing. Then, write the necessary application related documents. Application related documents means SOPs, essay, LORs, resume. So that is so whatever you have to do. Now these are some things that you have to do, essay, SOP, resume. So this you can take time because of course this is your application and you will take it as seriously as possible. But wherever you have to depend on other people, whether it is sending the scores or getting the transcripts or collecting the financial documents or to give a letter of recommendation, all these things, wherever you have to depend on other people, it's highly advisable that you do these as soon as possible and do not wait till the day of the deadline. Then the next step is fill out the application form and dispatch the application packages. See, the application form luckily is almost like an email ID, so it's not that you have to fill the entire form in one sitting. You can take your time. So as soon as you have finalized your university, 1 university, 2 universities, you can create your account and start filling it. So you need not do everything in one sitting. You can start filling little by little. Okay. So these are the stuff that you have to do stepwise. Once you have taken your GRE, once you have done the shortlisting of university. So these are the stuff that you need to do. So this basically is the application process, right? Anybody has any questions till now? So Parambhama, what I think is that the last point is, so as soon as you have finalized any university, go to the university's website, go to the graduate admissions website, and then create your account, the login ID password. So I will elaborate on some of these points. Right, so let me elaborate on some of this stuff, right? So one most important document are the financial documents. Now, what are the financial documents? What do you mean by financial documents, right? So financial documents are every university they have this set of financial forms. So these forms you will get on the website of the university, and you'll have to fill it depending on the instructions. So this is nothing, this is just you have to do, so no big deal, right? Then your bank letters and affidavits of support. So let's say that your education is going to be funded by your parents, right? So your mother and your father, let's say, they are the ones who are going to fund your education, right? So each of them, they will need to fill one affidavit of support, which is a court document, so on stamp paper, you know, which is an legal document. On stamp paper, they have to say that XYZ is my son or daughter, and I have this much amount available for his you know, master's degree or graduate study in this university, right? So affidavit of support is what they need to fill. If they don't give the affidavit of support, and if they simply give the bank letter or bank statement, then that is also not valid. You know, yes, if they are giving the bank statement, it just shows that they have the money. It does not show that they are willing to pay your fees, right? So they have to submit the affidavit of support expressing their interest, expressing their you know, desire to fund your education. Okay, so right, so there are some okay, just hold on to your questions, right? Then there are some loan issuing institutions. So I saw a question saying that you will get bank loan only after you get the admission. So how to show your financial documents, right? So there are some banks like Credila, for instance, right? So they give loan sanction letter, right? So loan sanction letter means that if this guy gets admission to this university, then we will sanction this much amount of money, right? So that itself works as a financial document. So there are some banks which give loan sanctioning letter, saying that if he gets admission, we will give him the loan. So that acts as a financial document, right? Okay, so now I'm going to take some questions. Right. So Sunil has a question: what are the requirements for applying to research assistantship? Right. So it's not a separate application; it is a part of the regular application. So you will get the option to apply there itself. There is no separate process. Saha has a question: in PhD, there also no, for PhD applications you do not need to submit financial documents at the time of application. After getting admission, you might be required to submit some financial documents. There is a question from Sool. Suppose we are acquiring some academic qualification in the last semester before we have applied for GRE. Then in that case, will that qualification be included in our resume? No, it won't be. You know, so whatever you have done or you are doing at the time of application, that is what is going to get counted. Arunima has a question. Unless the admission portal has opened, how can we fill the form? Yes, Arunima, very correct. But the online applications have started opening up. So different universities, the applications open at different times, but some of them have started opening out. So if you have any particular university in mind, you can go to the university website. You can check out the graduate admissions page. You know. As is a question, what if we do not have research papers but a good GRE score for others? So this is an admissions criteria which we discussed in a previous session. So that's fine, you know. See, research helps to get scholarships and it does make your profile stand out, right? Akhil, you have a question for GRE. Have we submit financial documents at time of application? Okay, Akhil, for most of the universities, you will need to submit the financial documents at the time of application. There are some universities where you don't have to. So you will have to check out the application requirements of individual universities. But even the universities where you don't need to submit at the point of application, you will need to submit later on. Neha has a question: how much time does it take for packets to reach university? Okay, so DHL, Neha, DHL has a student service where the documents reach within 2 to 3 working days. Right, so Arunima, the German application process is far simpler, but you have to follow almost the same steps. Nike, your question is, do we must take, so while you are trying to say that whether you need to take loans or not. Okay, so No, not. I mean, if you are not able to fund the education, then you will have to take bank loans. It's not mandatory, of course. Harsha has a question: how much time will a university take to process an application? Well, the university decisions, the admission decisions, they start coming, from January onwards, right? Mansi is a question. Okay. Like, so, everybody else able to hear me? Karan, okay. Okay, so Karan's question is there any time validity that needs to be fulfilled such as the funds must be there in the account for at least 3 months? Now see, the financial documents that you will be sending for admission, there is no such criteria that the funds have to be there for 3 months. There is nothing like that. In fact, you will need a bank letter. It's just a letter. You don't need to send a statement. So the bank letter will just say that on this date, Mr. This has this much amount in his account. So that's enough. But for visa purpose, you will need to show 6 months statement. Sahar's question is there any mandatory rule that I have to show a minimum amount? No, there is no mandatory rule. See, the universities require you to show the first year's expenses, and this amount will vary from university to university. In some universities, the first year expense, that is tuition plus cost of living, the estimate will be around, let's say, $25,000. In some universities, it might be $40,000. So it is very, very university specific. The only thing is that the financial documents that you will send to the university must show that you have liquid assets, that is in cash, liquid assets to cover the first year of expense. Okay, there's a question, do they require the whole fees? No, they don't. You are not paying the fees, Prabhat. You are just showing that you have enough money to fund the first year of your education. The fees you will pay only once you reach the university. Ashish's question is the admission criteria first come first serve? Yes, admission decisions are given first come first serve basis. Kshitish has a question, since I am going through preparing research document but not published yet, what should I do while talking to professor? So just say that you are currently doing this research, and I suggest that you submit an abstract, or to, here and there, so that will help your case. Siddhant, I think I already addressed the same thing as Ashish's question, that your admission chances, if your admission chances increase a lot if we apply early. Naik, I think I already answered your question. Your financials should show that you have enough funds for the first year of your master's. Mansi's question is, latest by when you can send your applications if you are applying for fall 17. Okay, so Mansi, different universities have different deadlines. Some will have in December, some will have in January. There are universities which have deadlines even in March or February or March. So of course you take a look at the deadlines and then decide. Sagar, yes, fixed deposits are considered as liquid assets. Next is the question, what about finances for secondary? So that's okay. I mean, that is, the university requires you to show that you have enough funds for the first year. So I don't know why they don't want the second year amount. Akhil, the funds have to be in the bank account of your parents, your sponsors, whoever is going to sponsor your education. In most cases, it's the parents. Neha, no, you do not need to upload your passport size photographs. Utkarsha, your question is, will a month before deadline be fine? Yeah, that should be okay, but try to do as soon as possible. Simon has a question, in general, by which date we should apply to increase? That's a very, very difficult question to answer. When I say apply as soon as possible, that means as soon as possible. And it does not mean that if you apply on the day of the deadline, you will get rejection. It does not mean that. But to maximize your chances, you should apply as soon as possible. So, Sagar, are you a student of Jamboree? So if you are a student of Jamboree, you can talk to the center manager. So he can put you in touch with the concerned people. Okay, so similar, just December, January is the time when most deadlines happen. That will give you a rough idea, right? Okay, so I'll I'm getting a lot of questions about what is, what is meant by liquid assets. So liquid assets means money that is in savings accounts, fixed deposits, recurring deposits, loans taken against PF accounts. Mutual funds are not counted, but fixed deposits are counted. So stocks and all, they are not counted because the valuation may keep on changing. So October is fine. October, November is fine, Simar. Maybe a question is, should I do unpaid internship in my field of interest for masters, or should I do a job in non-related field? I'm not able to understand your question. I mean, I'm actually not able to understand your question, right? You can do a job, you can do a master's. Those are two totally different things. Okay, Arjun, see, if you're taking your GI in October, that's fine. You have everything ready. The list that I showed in the previous slide, you have everything ready. Try to send any applications by mid-November. You should be fine. See, the research documents is the easiest way to make a big impression on your CV. But if you don't have it, then you don't have it. There's nothing much you can do about it. Try to get a good GRE score, and if you have good academics, then that also compensates to some extent. Change of major should not be a problem for admission. Right. So pretty much a question. I am in third year now, so I am going to do all my training internships in my fourth year. So will those be counted in my resume in fourth year only? That's okay. I mean, you start at least. So even your final year degree project, you will start. So you can include that in your CV. That's fine. Right. So going to the next point. So why are letters of recommendation important, right? So universities outside India, they give a lot of weightage to the letters of recommendation. So LORs give the universities access to the opinions of people who had the opportunity to assess your abilities, the candidate's abilities. LORs help universities assess the true potential of a student, which might not be reflected by his marks and grades alone. So there are students who who are really good students, but for some reason they are not able to get good marks. So LORs come to rescue of such students. Weak LORs may lead to rejections. Very important. If your letters of recommendations are not strong, then they will lead to rejections, right? 2 to 3 letters of recommendation contradicting one another may lead to rejections. So let's say that in one of your LORs, your faculty, your teacher is saying that he's very good with time management, and in one of your other LOR, if your recommender is saying that that one of the areas where I feel he can do with some improvement is his time management skills. So that means there's a contradiction there, right? So these contradictions then lead to rejections. So when you are writing the letters of recommendations, make sure that you read all of them, all the 3 letters of recommendation, and if there's any kind of contradiction, then just ask your recommenders to redo that. So 3 LORs are required mostly. Some universities might require 1 also, some might require 4 also, but mostly 3 letters of recommendations are required. These are the people from whom most students take their letters of recommendation. Now, project guide is very important. If you have like 1 or 2 project guides, then you should try to take LOS from them, because they will talk about how good a student you are in terms of research. Remember, the research aspect is very important. So if your project guide says that you have an eye for research, that helps, right? Then HOD, head of the department, that's one person where people take the letters of recommendation from. Then the teacher who has taught you the subject you want to specialize in. Let's say that you are doing your bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and now you want to specialize in VLSI or embedded systems. Then the professor who taught you those. So you should take LOS from those professors. And any other professor in whose subject you have scored highly. So you have got these options, right? If you have done multiple projects, let's say if you have done 2 projects or 3 projects, then I would recommend that you take from those 3 project guides, right? Research angle is extremely important, and LOS from project guides, help bring out that element to some extent. Okay. Ion question is it mandatory from previous academics? I'm not able to understand your question, previous means, whatever your bachelor's degree is in, you, of course, you will need LOS from there only. But only your question is, can I take LOS from my professor who used to teach me but currently has joined other university? Yeah, no problem. You can take LOS from professor who has retired. You can take LOS from professors who are currently teaching somewhere else. That's perfectly fine. As long as the professor taught you, that is okay. Sharik's question is, after BE, I have done PG diploma from CDAT. So I can have recommendation letter from CDAT. Yes, you can. Those of you who have any other academics after bachelor's degree, if you have a MTech or MSc, so obviously you should be taking from there as well. So Prabhat, if you are currently working, if your work experience is less than 2 years, then you should still go and take minimum 2 letters of recommendations from your college. 1 letter of recommendation can come from your company. Himanshu, I already addressed this question that you need to send, depending on universities, you may need to send 2 to 3 letters of recommendation, but mostly 3. Ashish, your question is, can I take LO from other university under whom I have worked earlier? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But of course, it should be for some significant duration. If it is, whether it's an internship or anything, if it is just 2-3 weeks, then then it does not make sense, right? Param Brahma, your question is the same. Can I take LO from where I have done internship? If your internship is of a significant duration, like a couple of months, then you can. But if it is only a couple of weeks, then it does not make sense. Sagar, your question is, if I have 5 years of experience, then how many LOR should be from academia and how? Okay, so in your case, 5 years of work experience is a lot. So I guess try to take at least 1 from your college. The other 2 can be from your work experience. 4521. So your question is, I am doing projects in 2 entirely different aspects. So in the very first place, I know that LOR from both of them will entirely be different. So it will be, no, that is different. That does not mean contradiction. So your projects can be very different. In fact, they can be absolutely different from what you are applying for. That is perfectly okay. They just want to see whether you have the inclination, whether you have that ability to do independent research or not. Currently, the question is, how much time does university take to send emails to the professors? Oh, it's an instant email. It's a system-generated email, right? So the moment you enter the email ID of the professor in the online application form, then automated email goes to their ID. Like, lecturer, professor, those designations don't matter. Anybody who has taught you is fine. Utkarsh's question is, I have given GRE before, got 89 and got rejection from Utah. I've taken admission in MTech CS and want to get my course transferred. My preparation is not good. Okay. See, transfer in MS case is a little difficult unless your grades in MTech in India is very good. The transfer options don't go well. So if you are planning to take GRE, I would suggest that you apply as a fresh master's instead of as a transfer case. Shirish, your question is you want to do structural engineering and you have poor marks in the subject. What should I do? I have LOR from US since I worked there, and NGO project construction. How does it support? Okay. In geo project construction of structure. Okay, I didn't understand that part. So see, if you want to do structural engineering and you have got poor marks, that is not the problem. But don't take an LOR from the person who has taught you structural engineering then, you know. Because what will he say? He cannot say that you have been a good student because your marks are low, right? Sunil, your question is how can I make contact with the professor? So actually, mails is the only way, and if they don't reply, then write a couple of times. But writing to professors after you have submitted the application is, I mean, there is a higher probability of them getting back to you. Okay, application to various universities is done when? After getting the GRE score. See, soon, you know, you cannot submit the online application unless you fill the GRE score in the online application. But you can start filling it right away. You can submit it after your GRE exam. Prabhat, your question is, if I publish research paper just before applying, will it have the same impact? Yes, it will. As long as it gets published, it's fine. It doesn't matter when it gets published. Varun has a question, does a professor's degree like master's or PhD also matter for IELTS? No, the academic qualifications of your recommenders don't matter. Your recommender can be a simple BSc person or BTech person, or can be a PhD, does not matter. The academic qualifications of your recommenders don't matter. Siddhant is a question, I'm trying to do a master's in field different from my undergrad. Is it okay to take an LOR from the professor? Or do I need to give some justification? See, you will anyway have to give justification for changing the field, but that will happen in SOP. For LORs, you just follow the general guidelines. That should be fine. Simmer, I have experience of 5+. So I think we addressed this in the last session that if the program that you are applying for, if that requires work experience, then it will be helpful. Otherwise, it will not be that much helpful unless it is a little research oriented. Okay, Utkarsha, if you are applying for a transfer degree, then you will not have the final year degree, final year marks of the MTech, but first semester, second semester, whatever grades you have till now will count. Yes, Simar, I am saying relevant experience. Yeah. Okay, GATE scores don't count, they don't matter. So even if you have got a very good score in GATE, so that's not taken into account, right? Okay, right. So now make sure that your LORs are not generic. So I saw a question saying that how can I make my LOR, LOR strong? So now these are some pointers, right? First of all, you need to understand that everybody's letters of recommendation are good. That is the definition of letter of recommendation, right? So you need to choose your recommenders wisely. Make sure that you take enough letters of recommendation from project guides, right? So because that will highlight the research angle. Also take LORs from professors in whose subjects you have scored well. So the selection of the recommenders is extremely important. Next is when, in India at least, if you approach any person to be your recommender, the person would say that, okay, you write, I will sign, something of that sort. So you will end up, writing the letters of recommendation in most cases. So when you are doing that, you have to make sure that you are not, they should not sound similar. All the 3 letters of recommendation should not sound similar. So you have to make sure that you take special care to make them sound different. Do not use the same adjective, right? In one LOR, if you are using simple straight sentences, in the second LOR, try to make the sentences a little bit more heavy. Try to make the vocabulary a bit stronger. So take some conscious steps to make sure that your LORs don't sound similar. Next thing is that your LOR should not be generic. Now, what do I mean by generic? So if the LOR says that let's say Nishant is a is a very bright student. Now that does not make much sense, right? I mean, that's very subjective. Instead, if you write that, of the 500 students that I have taught in my 5 years of teaching experience, I would definitely rate Nishant the top 5% or top 1%. Now that sounds believable, right? So just generic sentences don't make much sense. And try to include at least one specific example. I just a couple of days ago I was reading an LOR. So the student, the recommender had written that there was a project. There in the final year, there was a project, and there were 4 people in the project and 2 of them fell sick at the same time with chicken pox. So the student, he took over the task of those 2 people also, and even though there were 2 people down, still they were able to deliver the project report on time. So something of that sort. It always helps, it always helps if you include some specific examples instead of just having some generic sentences, he's a good student or etc., right? So everybody, just instead of typing, just if you listen, I think that will be more helpful. I see a lot of people continuing to type questions, right? So, are you clear about how to make your LORs more specific? So just don't write stuff that you are not able to back up with data, right? Just generic statements don't help, right? So write some specific examples. That's how your LORs will sound different. If you search the internet, you will find tons of sample LORs, right? And not just you. Most students who start applying, they take samples from the internet. As a result, all the LORs end up sounding the same. You are not getting any extra points for that. Moreover, you might actually get rejected because of plagiarism, right? Everybody has heard of plagiarism. Plagiarism means copying, right? So people who directly copy paste stuff from the internet, you run a high risk of getting rejected because of plagiarism. So try to write your own stuff and start now. You don't have to wait till you have your GRE score. Most universities, a generic LOR would work. They do not have specifications. So a 1.5 page letter of recommendation is all they would need. So you will probably end up using the same letter of recommendation, same content for all your applications, right? All your universities. So it does not go on email. That email will usually include a link and a password, right? So the LOR form is also something like your online application form only. The recommender does not have to fill everything in one sitting. Supporting your question is, can I do my applications after getting my GRE score? Yes, you can actually, but if you do it side by side, you save a lot of time. And let's remember that the sooner you apply, the better are your chances of getting admission. So I think I already covered this. LORs in a 1.5 page is enough. Okay, can everybody hear me now? Okay, great. Can everybody hear me now? Okay, Prabhat, don't worry, you will have the recordings available. So those of you who missed some portion of it, don't worry about it. The recording will be available in the link. Another 2-3 days, the recording will be available. So you'll be able to hear, see it. In fact, I would suggest that instead of taking notes, just listen. That will be better. So your question is, after getting GI score, how much time we can do? That's a very tough question to answer. Ideally, you should apply as soon as possible. So I would suggest that you have all the components of your application ready, SOP, LOR, everything, have those ready, right? So that, immediately after your GRE exam, you can send in your application, you can send in your application like about 10-12 days after your GRE score, after your GRE exam. So Nishant, your question is, I have 3+ years of work experience. Is it required to have LOR from college professors? Well, you can take it from your, you can take some of them from your college, some of them from your work, but if possible, try to get one from your, the professor under whom you did your, project, final year project. Okay, Karan, your question is too specific. Your question is too specific. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Better? Okay, is it better? Right. So, so I saw a question about the cover letters. First of all, there is nothing called cover letter. So there is an SOP. So I will just talk about what is a good SOP and how to go about it. Arjun, your question is, should LORs be in the point format or normal? Oh yeah, it should be letter, not point, definitely not point format, not bullet points. LOR should be a letter, paragraph wise. Okay, Nishant, I don't know what your question was. Okay, Vivek, I already covered that. LOR should be around 1.5 pages. Definitely not longer than 2 pages. Definitely not longer than that. Okay, Nishant, you can take letters of recommendation from your work, but try to get at least one from your project guide, college project guide. Ash, your question is that you graduated in 2015 and have about 7 months of experience, but I have quit recently to focus on my applications. Will this gap affect my chances? It is not at all advisable to quit your jobs to prepare for exams like GRE, GMAT. It is not at all advisable. So if possible, try to get a job, before your applications. Okay guys, just I'll make it simple. If you have not scored well in the subjects taught by your HOD or professors, then don't take it from there. Do not take it. It does not make sense that a professor in whose course you have not scored well, he is saying good things about you. That just does not make sense, right? I'm getting a lot of questions related to that. Okay, Arunima, your question is way too generic, so I will just not address it right now. Okay. Sure, I have answered your question a couple of times already. So after getting the GRE score, try to send in your applications 10 to 12 days after getting your GRE score. That will be possible if you have all the components of your application ready. So do not wait till your GRE exam. Have your SOPs, LORs, CVs, everything ready so that you can send your applications 10 to 12 days after your GRE exam. Okay, so let's get to SOP. SOP is extremely important. So everybody just stop typing your questions and listen. Am I audible now? Everybody, am I audible? Clear? Okay, so SOP is extremely important. This is probably the most important document you will write, in your entire life till now. This can be the make or break of your applications. Okay. A strong SOP can lead to an admission, a weak SOP can lead to a rejection. You may have a very, very, very good profile, but if you are not able to talk about it in your SOP, if you are not able to present it in your SOP, you will get a rejection. So it's not just enough to have a good profile. It's not just enough to have good research experience or good academics. It's not enough to have that. You have to be able to write it, you have to be able to present it in your SOP, right? So, an SOP, now this is important, and SOP should tell a story. Lot of times, students focus on the language, right? They start with some quote, some famous quote, or they try to use really big words, they try to use the entire GRE vocabulary in the SOP. That is absolutely not necessary. An SOP should read like a story, a simple, convincing document, right? Content and flow are far more important than the language. So, it does not mean that you write grammatically wrong English, but, simple English, the content, the flow, it should be a smooth reading, right? Don't try to make it sound important. Don't try to use unnecessarily big words. Try to write simple, good English, correct English obviously, and the content is very important, right? Content based, the entire story should be there. Why you want to be a master's, why that program, etc. All of that. Now, for language, there are some things are strict no. For instance, you cannot have too many spelling mistakes. You cannot have too many grammatical mistakes. So these things you have to, and these are easy to eliminate. After writing the SOP, take a printout in a paper and read it. Just you will be able to eliminate a lot of mistakes. So avoid spelling mistakes, avoid grammatical mistakes in your SOP. Some students, they, when they start applying, they end up, leaving everything till the last moment, and on the day of the deadline, they end up applying to 4 or 5 colleges in one day. So what they do is that they forget to change the name of the university in the SOP. Now that is a ridiculously silly mistake, and it will lead to a direct rejection. So if you are applying to University of Florida and your SOP says, Sunny Buffalo, you are getting a rejection. As simple as that. So be very sure to kind of, just revise your SOP for every university. Make sure that you are writing the name of the correct program that you are applying for. Make sure that you are writing the name of the correct university that you are applying to. Now, a good SOP should address the following questions, right? So, when the admissions committee, when they are reading the SOP, they should get answers to these questions. First is, what do you want to pursue? Now, this seems like a simple thing, but you will be surprised to know that I go through a lot of SOPs where students do not clearly mention what they are applying for. They would use some vague language such as, I want to do a graduate program in this, or I want to do higher studies in this. So those words have no meaning. So whatever college you are applying to, go to the website, pick the name of the program. The name of the program very, very correctly you have to enter in your SOP. Now, computer science itself in some universities may be called computer sciences. In some universities, it may be called computer science and engineering. So whatever it is, now this seems like a very minor issue, but you'll be surprised at the number of times you'll forget to do it. Right? So for every university that you are applying to, just go through the SOP once. Make sure that you have entered the name of the program and the name of the university correctly. And the program that you want to apply for, it can be PhD in biological sciences, it can be Masters in electrical engineering, whatever it is, it should be mentioned very clearly in the first paragraph itself. Lot of students, they wait till the last paragraph to mention it, right? So do not do that. Don't wait till the last paragraph. So in the first paragraph itself, you should clearly mention the exact program that you are applying for. The next thing, is that do you have the adequate academic background to pursue the degree, right? Now this is going to be the majority of your SOP. So write about your bachelor's degree curriculum here. For instance, if you have taken some electives that are in sync with the master's that you are applying for, any projects, right, to prove your academic eligibility to pursue the course. This is usually going to be around 2 to 3 paragraphs, sometimes even more. If you have done any internships, if you have even done any papers, or if you have participated in any paper presentation competitions, all the stuff that we talked about in your research work, whatever counts as research work, this is the part where you talk about that, right? And don't forget to mention your curriculum, right? But do keep in mind, do not write the name of a course that, okay, I took this course to further enhance my knowledge, and don't write that unless you have scored highly in that course. Extremely important, right? So, but these are some ways in which you can convince the university that you have adequate, academic or professional background to pursue the degree that you are applying for. Now, till here, a lot of students do that SOP correctly. For most students, these two are not the, hello? Hello, am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, so I think there is some severe internet problem today. So did you guys catch till this point? So why are you applying to that specific university? Have you were you able to hear that? So let me repeat that part. Why are you? So this part, as I said, just you need to make sure that it has to be specific to the university that you are applying to. Most of you will apply with the same SOP to multiple universities, and it is perfectly fine, right? So if you are applying to like 10 universities, you can do that with one SOP, but you have to modify. The information, right? So like usually a 700 to 1000 word SOP is what you need. You don't need a very long SOP. You should never ever exceed 1200 words. Now and so start by writing a generic SOP and modify it for the university that you are applying for. And the modification needs to be done in this paragraph, right? Stay away from words such as that I'm applying to your university because of the world-class faculty, cutting-edge technology, state-of-the-art infrastructure, etc. So these don't mean anything, right? These just show that you have not done enough research. Now, how can you make the information specific? So go to the university website, go to the department website. So in the department website, find these. Name of some courses that you would like to take. So go to the program curriculum, select some courses. Name of few faculty in whose research areas you want to work. Now this is extremely important. Remember in one of our sessions we talked about applying for research assistantships, etc. So if you name a few faculty saying that you would like to work in the research groups of those faculty, then when you apply, your application is directly forwarded to those faculty. So make sure that you do your research, and if you are modifying the SOP and writing the names of the faculty, then what would happen is that you are actually expediting the entire process of research assistantship. So you are not only customizing your SOP, you are also improving your chances of getting research assistantships. Okay. Some students also include some interesting information about that university, about the location of that university, etc. So that is also fine. As long as the information is specific, it's fine. So this paragraph, as I was saying, can be a short paragraph, right? Okay. So as I said, this paragraph can be just about 4 to 5 lines. That is more than enough, but it has to be specific. Okay, can you hear me now? Next part. Now, as I said, the first two portions, students anywhere write, they mess up on the third point a little bit, but they totally miss out on the last point. Right? So the last point is, that why should the university admit you? Which means what is unique about you? Most students do not have this at all, right? So so see, they are going to get a lot of applicants. Some of them are going to be really good. There will be probably a lot of applicants who are as good as you. So you need to, right? So this is where you talk about you as a person. Till now you have talked about what you want to do. You have talked about technical stuff. You have talked about why you want to go to that university, but you have not told them why they should be taking you, right? So this is where you talk about anything unique about you. Like it can be about your career goals. It can be about some personality strengths that you might have. It may be even about your extracurricular activities. If you have something really good, it can be if your background is very unique. So I'll just give an example. So one of our students, he was born into an army family. So during his school life, he had attended 17 schools, right? So he used that information. So he told that because of that, he has the ability to adapt to any situation easily. He can make friends easily, all of that. So this is the paragraph. This is the paragraph where basically you talk about, where you talk about your goals and strengths, where you talk about whatever separates you from the rest of the applicants. Anything that is unique about your profile, you should talk about this. And this should be the end of your SOP, right? Okay, so the example I gave was that so there was this guy who was his father was in the army. So during his school life, he had attended 17 schools, 17 schools. So he used that information to say that because of this experience, his personality is very adaptable, that he can make friends very easily, etc. Okay, am I audible? Okay, so you know what, those of you who are not able to hear me, just wait for a couple of days, the entire recording will be available. So you will be able to hear everything clearly there, don't worry about that. Okay, so I just now want to talk a little bit about the application, some stuff that you need to take care of while applying. So universities view a sloppily filled application form as a sign of carelessness. So do not make spelling errors, spelling mistakes, and everything are very, very strict no. So after filling your applications, read carefully, revise the entire information. Okay. The education system in different countries are different. So the language of the application form may not be easily understandable. So for instance, they might be talking about credit hours, or they might be talking about GPA, etc. Right? So be very careful when you are filling the information. For instance, the bachelor's degree in India, we call it bachelor's degree, but outside India it's called undergrad. So you will get all this lingo, all this jargon. So make sure that you understand properly and that you fill out the information correctly, especially no errors. So lot of people feel that it's just an application, it's very easy. So IN cover letters are not required. But I don't know what you mean by cover letters. Cover letters are not a part of the application packet. Okay. So now usually these are some questions that I get, that my university does not follow a GPA, but the application form asks for a GPA. What do I do? Now this is one common question that I get. So in Indian education system, we do not have GPAs, right? So we most universities give in percentages, like maybe you get 60% or 70%. So your marks will be in this format. So don't worry about converting it to GPA. So in the online application form, if you get a field asking you for GPA, just either skip it if possible. If skipping is not possible, then enter as 0. That's okay. But do not convert your percentages, or even if your university gives GPA, don't convert it to the US 4.0 scale. Next thing is that students ask for I studied 2 years of kindergarten before class 1. What do I state as my first year of education? So in lot of the universities, you'll have to give your marks, that class 1, class 2, like that, right? So your first year of education is class 1, class 1. So, so this is very kind of typical questions that appear, problematic questions that appear. So I'm currently an MSc final year student. I'm applying for MS degree. In the application form, do I state my current level of education as undergraduate or graduate? So now these are questions that will occur. So, so that's what I mean that, when you are filling out the application form, make sure that you are filling the information correctly. So next, you want to know about WES evaluation. So that is not a mandatory part of applications. For some programs, you might need WES evaluation. That is a whole different process. You have to go to the website of WES. Simran, your question is, you mentioned that unless we have scored well in a certain course, don't mention that you did that course. No, I did not say that. I said that, that you cannot avoid mentioning it. What I'm saying is, in the SOP, you cannot say that I took this course to improve my knowledge, etc. And if you have not scored well, then it like has a rather a negative impact than a positive one. But you have, in your case, if you have scored 80% and you have done well, then definitely you should, include that. As your question is, they have TOEFL 2 years back. Okay, so I think if you have taken TOEFL 2 years back, it's no longer valid. The TOEFL has a validity period of 2 years. Ayan, see, there are a lot of sample SOPs in the internet, but I would advise you not to copy paste at all. If you do that, you will get rejected. Okay, so basically, there are some of you were asking for deadline information. You'll find it here. And the recording of this webinar, I'm not sure what the problem is today. We have webinars and we do not have this kind of issues. Today there is a lot of this network problem. So, but the recording will be available in this, so you will be able to hear all of it, And if you have any questions that I was not able to answer, then please send in your questions to this email ID, right? So, I mean, even now I will try to address some questions. So, Supratim, your question is, someone got not too good marks in class 12. That's fine. Universities do not care about your class 10 and class 12 marks. They will need only your bachelor's degree, marks and beyond, right? So Simar, you have another question. I have done projects which were in my curriculum, but I also developed some softwares on my own. Yes, of course, you should include them in your SOP. Anything that you have done, either through as a part of your course or on your own, definitely you should include in your SOP. Prabhat, reputation, yes, it does include, it does matter to a great extent. Like, if you are able to get a paper published in an international journal, of course that will have a bigger impact than than doing it in some college magazine, right? Okay, Vivek, first of all, your project managers, nobody sends the email directly. I explained the process. No, it's a system, right? So if nobody is going to send a direct email and nobody is going to reply also directly, okay? So it's just that it's a system where the email that your rank, your relative rank in your class is actually far more important. So with 7 out of 10, I don't know where you stand in your class, right? So your relative rank in your class is far more important than the absolute score. Okay, Prabhat, I guess guys today has not been one of the good days, lot of noise problems. Okay, am I audible now? score well, then it like has a rather a negative impact than a positive one. But you have, in your case, you have scored 80% and you have but I would advise you not to copy paste at all. If you do that, you will get a problem. Okay, so basically, you know, there are some questions we were asking for deadline information. You'll find it here. And you know, the recording of this webinar, I'm not sure what the problem is today. We have webinars and we do not have webinars. Today there is a lot of such recording will be available on Monday, so you will be able to hear all of it. You know, but if you have any questions that I was not able to answer, then please send in your questions to this email. So I mean, even now I will try to address some questions. Someone got not too good marks in class 12. That's fine. Universities do not care about your class 10 and class 12 marks. They will need only your bachelor's degree, you know, marks and beyond. So Simar, you have another question. I have done projects where in my curriculum, which were in my curriculum, but I also developed some software on my own. Yes, of course you should include them in your SOP. Anything that you have done either through as a part of your course or on your own, definitely you should include in your SOP. Prabhat, replication, yes, it does include, you know, it does matter to a great extent. Like, you know, if you are able to get a paper published in an international journal, of course that will have a, you know, that will have a bigger impact than, you know, than doing it in some college magazine, right? Okay, Vivek, first of all, your project managers, you know, nobody sends the email directly. I explained the process. No, it's a system, right? So nobody is going to send a direct email and nobody is going to reply also directly. Okay, so it's just that it's a system where the email that your rank, your relative rank in your class is actually far more important. So with 7 out of 10, I don't know where you stand in your class, right? So your relative rank in your class is far more important than the absolute score. Okay, Prabhat, I guess guys today has not been one of the good days, you know, lot of noise problems.